Hi guys, it's Nick, your friendly neighborhood ASMR nerd, and I'm back with another relaxing review. Today we're taking a look at some headphones. I ran a poll on the channel a little while ago on the community tab, and lots of people wanted to see more mechanical keyboard reviews. We've had a couple of those, and I've got another one coming up in the not too distant future. People wanted to see more mechanical watches. I've got one of those coming up as well. But a number of you also wanted to see some headphone reviews. So here we are. Today I'm looking at the Mixcder E9 active noise cancelling Bluetooth headphones. Mixcder E9, Mixcder. That's a lot of consonants all stuck together. It's these guys though, these things right here. This is what we're going to be looking at today. And they're priced at $70 US on Amazon.com or 90 Canadian on Amazon.ca or some number of Great British pounds, I don't remember. But you can go into the video description and find the links there if you want to check them out. But aside from being wireless and fairly portable, these headphones also advertise the active noise cancelling tech. If you know what that is, you can skip the next minute or so and get straight to the unboxing. If you don't, I got you, fam. Active noise cancelling technology is pretty cool. It's been around for a while. What it does is it uses microphones positioned externally on the headphones to listen to the ambient sound in the environment, and then it plays back the inverse waveform of the ambient sound into your ears using the headphones. And in theory, what that does when implemented correctly is the two waveforms of the ambient sound and the inverse that's played back, they perfectly cancel each other out. The waves and the troughs meet, and they cancel out, and you don't hear anything. In theory, that's how it works. So we're going to try out that feature on these headphones, as well as all its other features, of course, as we do only the most thorough reviews here on relaxing reviews. So that'll be something that I'm checking out, as well as build quality, sound quality, comfort, wireless connectivity, all that good stuff. So sit back, relax, and let's take a closer look at the Mixcder E9 active noise cancelling wireless headphones. And here we have the Mixcder E9 headphones in box. And you can see that the packaging is fairly reserved, at least on the front. It's got this dark kind of carbon and blue design going on. Looks very modern tech. It's got this kind of shiny stencil of the headphones right here. Some basic information. Mixcder active noise cancelling wireless headphones. Interestingly, it doesn't say anything about Bluetooth on the front, just calls them wireless. And then lists the model over here, the E9. Mixcder does have several other models. I think this is their top-end model. I could be mistaken. They're all available on Amazon anyway. So that's the front. Got a slightly better look at that. Reflective stenciling. Looks nice actually. Kind of shiny. Around this side, we've got some informations. What does it say? I'll have to turn it around to see. It says, okay, it says active noise cancelling technology around 30-hour playtime. So around, not precisely, but ish. 40mm large aperture drivers. So that would be the diaphragm size, diameter. Wireless and wired connection. And good to have, of course. Adjustable and foldable design. And a compact carrying case. So that's nice. There'll be a carrying case included. On the top, we have a tree. It says environmental protection design. I don't know what that means, but there it is. Take it with a grain of salt, but I guess they're trying. I don't know. On the back, we have some basic information and tech specs in a variety of languages, and some certifications down at the bottom. I'll read this quickly here. Let's see. What do we got? It says Mixcder up at the top. Then it says here, support profile, HSP, HFP, A2DP, and AVR-CP. I don't know off the top of my head exactly what those are, but I think they're probably different transmission standards for audio over Bluetooth. Maybe different encodings or something. I'm not quite sure, but that's my guess. Transmission distance, 33 feet outdoors or 49 indoors. It's interesting that it would get better reception indoors. I'm not quite sure why, but sure. Speaker driver, 40mm, impedance 32 ohms, sensitivity 94 decibels. Battery type, built-in 500 milliamp hour rechargeable lithium battery. Playtime without active noise cancelling, 30 hours. So the ANC does exact a toll on the battery life. It says here, playtime with ANC, 24 hours. Still very respectable. A full day's worth non-stop of playback time is nothing to sniff at. That's plenty for most people. It says the same thing in French, Japanese, German, Spanish, Russian, and Italian. There you go. That's pretty much it. So that's the packaging. Looks pretty nice. Says what it needs to say, although, again, no Bluetooth mentioned anywhere, interestingly. Nowhere does it say it is Bluetooth certified or what version of Bluetooth it supports or anything like that. That's a little strange, but anyway, let's open it up and see what's inside. Looks like a carrying case with a zipper. Nothing else inside the box. It's completely empty. No packing material either. So I suppose it's liable to bumps during shipment, but everything appears to be safely stored within this portable carrying case. So, which it's a semi-hard shell design. I guess it's not really. It's a soft shell design, but it has some rigidity to it, and it's coated in fabric. Soft to the touch, and obviously doesn't pick up fingerprints. It's, like I said, it's some rigidity to it. And a zipper. All the way around the outside. And this carrying ribbon, I guess. Alright, let's open it up. Okay, so I'm laughing because this is kind of cute. So we are greeted with the headphones nestled within, right here, and what looks like a little package of information and accessories. Let's take that out first. Pull out the headphones in a moment. As is tradition, we wait for the main event. Look at this stuff first. So, accessory package with what looks to be an airplane adapter, a USB 2 charging cable. I guess it's mini USB. Well, let's pull it out. We'll see. Or micro USB. Sorry. Let's open it up though. Okay, this is just a standard 3.5mm stereo audio cable. Nothing much to see there. Looks to be of decent length. And it's all black. So that's if you want to use it in wired mode. Here we have a USB, USB 2, a micro USB connector. This is for charging, so it does not have removable batteries. You have to charge it by USB. And this looks pretty short, although you're probably charging it from your PC or laptop, so that's not such an issue. Yeah, we have an airplane adapter, gold-plated plugs. Interesting addition. A little bit strange because it's not a common use case, but there it is. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how much you fly, but most airplane entertainment systems these days don't use the dual prong design. They generally just use a regular single plug jack, but anyway, there it is. Not going to complain. We get a very happy Mixcder. Is this a sticker? Oh no, it's what is this? I thought it was a sticker. Oh, look at that. Thank you for your purchase. Want products at amazing prices, blah blah blah. Check out Mixcder, there's a QR code, etc. So, advertising, but hey, it's cute. And then a manual. A little diagram of functions, buttons and such. I wonder if you have to pay money to use the term Bluetooth, because I have not seen the term Bluetooth anywhere in here. They call it wireless version 4.0. And of course they mean Bluetooth, but that's funny. Yeah. Oh, there it is. They talk about wireless pairing. They just talk generically about wireless capability. Yeah, that might be it. Maybe you have to pay money to use the Bluetooth logo and name in your packaging and advertising. Funny. Maybe you have to meet certain certification standards, and perhaps these headphones have not met those standards or not passed that cert. I also don't know about that. But I guess we'll find out when I try them. We'll see how they work. Active noise cancelling, pairing to a phone, answering a call, so you can do hands-free calling. Taking care of your headphones. Don't leave them in the rain. Don't put them in the sun. Don't leave them in the snow. Protecting your hearing. Alright, it's a fairly fully featured manual there. Some troubleshooting. A page full of specifications. There we are. And then a bunch of different languages. Okay, let's actually take a look at those headphones now, shall we? So the headphones themselves are, as I said, nestled within the protective case and held in place by this elastic strap. This surface, which appears to be a brushed metal surface, is definitely plastic. But that's not necessarily a terrible thing. They're folded flat for storage. But that is their natural state. First impressions are good. They look good, but they do feel fairly plasticky. You see, we've got actually this is a polyurethane leather or something. This is very soft, actually. The top of the headband is very soft. The interior of the headband, right here, is cushioned with a black faux leather, but again, it's very soft, very, very soft, and nicely padded. Same material for the ear cups. It's this black faux leather that is very, very soft. lightly textured and nicely padded. Very squishy padding. And then the inside of the ear cups is just a sort of a low density foam covered in a fabric. I think the construction is entirely plastic. There's quite a lot of flex to the headset, which doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence in the build quality, but it doesn't feel bad. It just feels plasticky, I guess. Again, this sort of concentric circle design that looks like it might be brushed metal, but isn't. But it is very stylish. It looks nice. The overall aesthetics of these headphones is quite pleasing. They're just very dark and I would go so far as to say fairly elegant looking. Not crazy about this though. The sides of the ear cups here on the outside are glossy plastic. I hate glossy plastic because it's just a fingerprint magnet. This surface, I don't know if you can see that there. This surface is matte plastic. That's great. That won't pick up fingerprints so easy, but this surface, where all the buttons are, this surface is glossy. I don't know why you would put a glossy surface where you're going to be touching. And you can see, this is where we find our power button right there. Our volume buttons right here. Volume up, volume down. Charging port right here. Another questionable thing to put on a glossy surface because glossy surfaces also scratch easily. So if you're trying to plug your micro USB plug into there, you're liable to scratch the glossy finish. Then on the other ear cup, it's blank except for there's that 3.5 millimeter audio jack, stereo audio jack, and switch for the active noise cancelling. Like so. It looks like it might have a LED embedded in that switch, probably. Oh yeah, it definitely does. In fact, you can see it coming on right there. ANC on, LED is illuminated in blue, ANC off. LED is off. Okay, and over on the other ear here, actually missed these two subtle little bits. There's it looks like a power LED there, and then a little microphone for picking up your talking. So, as you can see, each ear cup pivots like so that it can lay flat in its carrying case, but that's all it does in terms of oh no, I lied. Look at that. It folds up as well, so it gets a bit more compact. That's not too bad then. It does not both fold flat and in though. You have your choice of folding in or folding flat. But still, if you want to toss it into your bag or something like that, your purse, your backpack, whatever, it'll do fine like that. Cups both pivot like this and then swivel this way, like so, to conform to your head. And then what about size adjustment. Let's see. Oh, thought it was going to happen right here, but it's right here. Okay. Oh, look at that. Okay. So there is some metal in here. We've got a metal band. And actually, I like that. Look at that. It's got markings on it. So you can see what size you've got it extended to. So you can match one side to the other. So, you know, you can put this at, say, 15 millimeters. Like so. And you can come match it on the other side, like that, to ensure that you've got an even fit on each side. That's actually nice. Weirdly, I've never seen that before in a set of headphones, but that's a nice kind of high quality looking touch with the metal band and the markings. All right then. And it looks like it's got a decent amount of adjustability. You've got over 25 millimeters on this side, and of course the same on the other side for a grand total of about 50 to 60 millimeters of adjustment. If you have a particularly big head, but I do not. I've got a fairly small head actually, and it moves in these little kind of chunks, little gradations. The interior of the band is again plastic. You can see some exposed screws here, sort of. Maybe you can't, but I can. And then we've got some stickers in here. This one's, I don't even know what that is. This one's quality QA pass. Oh, good. And look, it does tell you which side is which. I was thinking, I couldn't tell, but it has a very little subtle L on the inside of the band here, and a subtle R on the inside of the band on this side. It's very hard for me to show you with my lighting, but trust me, it's in there. There you go. You can see it barely. And that is all she wrote. That is all there is to see here. So, overall impressions, they look nice. The materials feel comfortable. The leather feels very soft. The faux leather. But overall, they're a bit light. They're a bit plasticky. And they're a little bit flexy. They feel a bit cheap, a bit chintzy in terms of materials. Virtually no metal on them, so they certainly don't feel premium, even though they do look relatively premium. But of course, look and feel aren't everything. In fact, one might argue that when it comes to headphones, performance is the most important metric. So I'm going to take these for a spin, put them through their paces, listen to them extensively in a variety of different environments, test out the wired and the wireless mode, and of course that active noise cancelling. And I'll also report back on comfort. So I'm going to go do that, and we will reconvene to discuss the listening experience, and for me to go over the pros and cons, and then provide my final verdict. Hey, welcome back. I know it's only been a few seconds for you, but it's been many weeks for me, and I've been testing out these Mixcder E9 headphones quite extensively. I've worn them in, I've worn them out and about. I've tried them wired and wireless, with and without the active noise cancellation, and I've formed some opinions on these things. The first is that these are pretty good. these are some pretty good headphones, actually. Despite the fact that their build quality feels a little bit on the chintzy side, the sound quality is pretty solid. They have a very respectable bass response down at the lower frequencies. They have somewhat recessed mids and trebles, but many people prefer that kind of sound signature. In fact, lots of people find a perfectly flat frequency response to sound very unexciting. Lots of people like the deeper bass, so these do provide that. They're not going to knock your socks off. They don't punch you in the gut with their bass, but they're good. It's solid. That actually changes a bit when you turn on the active noise canceling. It changes the sound characteristics quite a bit. When you turn on the active noise canceling, first of all, you'll notice a hiss. Now, in regular Bluetooth mode, I noticed zero Bluetooth hiss, which is actually really impressive because many devices I've used, even more expensive ones, whether they're Bluetooth speakers, Bluetooth headphones, there's a slightly audible hiss in the background in very quiet passages of music or when it's just playing white noise. And this is not, it's not in the recording. It's associated with the headphones themselves or whatever, the speaker. These headphones do not suffer from that. I do not notice that hiss, that white noise, so that's really, really nice. Where it does come in is when you turn on active noise canceling. So let's back it up a little bit more. Yes, the active noise canceling does work as promised. It does mute environmental ambient sounds to some degree. It does a better job with constant sounds, like white noise sounds especially. So, for example, my computer fans completely cuts those out. More intermittent or staccato sounds like typing on a keyboard, it mutes them not quite as effectively, but it is a noticeable difference. So that's the good. I've had other sets of active noise canceling headphones before that I've used where the effect was notably stronger. But it's functional anyway. It functions as advertised on these guys. But when you turn on that ANC, using the switch right here, like that, you do hear an audible hiss. And it's a very kind of high frequency hiss. It's not a deal breaker, but it's enough that I didn't really want to use the active noise canceling. And that's a bit of a shame. It also changes the sound characteristics quite a bit, like I was describing. It makes them, the trebles, much more pronounced. It widens the sound stage, and it makes those higher frequency sounds quite sharp, verging on harsh, I would say. Now, some people might prefer that sound signature. It's very bright, and initially it was kind of pleasing, actually. I liked the way it sounded with ANC turned on, but it's fatiguing on the ears because it's just a little too bright. The trebles become a little too harsh, in my opinion. The good news is, if you don't care one way or another whether ANC is on particularly, you can actually kind of pick your sound signature, whether you want something a bit more bass heavy or with that treble boost that you get when you turn on ANC. Ultimately, I kept ANC off because I just found it a little bit harsh to listen to over long periods of time. Also, the cups on these headphones, the ear cups, they do a great job of sealing around my ears anyway. I have, well, I'm told by Sarah tells me I have small ears. She thinks they're cute. I don't know if they are, but they do stick out a little bit. I will acknowledge that. But the size of these ear pads, anyway, these ear cups, is just right to fit around my ears. So I can put these on like so. Got a pose for the camera. Thumbnail, maybe. And it creates a pretty good seal. I'm looking for ANC. Let's turn that off. It creates a pretty good seal around my ears. So actually the passive noise isolation of these headphones is very good, which makes them great for taking on transit or out and about on a walk or something like that. Pair it with the active noise cancellation, and it's a fairly quiet and personal listening experience. The few quibbles with the ANC aside, I think they do what they set out to do quite well. In terms of Bluetooth connectivity and reliability, happy to report that they connect immediately to the devices that I paired them to. As soon as I turn them on, they get that connection. I don't think I've had them skip or drop connection once. I didn't test the extremes of the distance that I could go, but I have walked with these out of my computer room, say to the bathroom, down the hall, even to the kitchen, and they kept playing, no problem. That's probably solid, I don't know, 30, 40 feet away or something like that. So overall, impressed with the listening experience and the usage experience with these headphones. The quibbles about build quality and such notwithstanding. But anyway, I think we're at that point of the review where it's time to summarize my pros and my cons. You'll get the overview and a couple additional little tidbits of information about things I liked and didn't like so much about the Mixcder E9. So let's start with the pros. First thing that I like about these headphones is they have a stylish aesthetic to them. I think the design is really good. They're not too bright and flashy. They look modern. They look more expensive than they feel. I'll tell you that much. I think they look pretty darn good. The second thing that I like is that they're comfortable. It did take me a little bit of time to find the right size adjustment, because initially I felt like they were clamping my head a little bit too tight, but I do really think the size adjustment on these headphones is good. It's reliable. I like the little marks that show you how far you've got it pulled out, and after fiddling with it a bit, I was able to find a very comfortable sizing, and I've worn them for quite a few hours actually at a time without getting too much fatigue or anything. Those protein leather or whatever they call them ear pads, very soft, nice and squishy, very comfortable. Third good thing about these guys is that solid bass response. It's not earth-shattering, it's not going to shake your brains, but yeah, it's solid. It's relatively well controlled. I never felt that it was lacking bass response at the very least, so that part of the sound signature is good. Another thing worth calling out is that good passive noise isolation. Like I said, the cups, at least on my ears, fit just right over my ears, and they seal out ambient and environmental sounds pretty well. So even before you turn on the active noise cancellation, it's a fairly quiet listening experience. When you do turn on the active noise cancellation, the ANC works as advertised. And maybe that's not something that should be on a list of pros because it is an advertised feature, but at this price point, ANC that functions well is a nice thing to see. The other great thing is that there's no Bluetooth hiss when you have ANC off. Different story with ANC on. We'll talk about that again in a moment in the cons, but with ANC off, very clean listening experience, no hiss whatsoever. Overall, no distortion to the sound, even when it's turned way up. So these drivers are quite capable, and that's a really nice thing to see. No rumbly lows or crunchy highs or anything like that. It all sounds nice and clean. Continuing on with our frankly long list of pros, I want to call it the Bluetooth. It's very reliable. I'm impressed with how quickly these headphones grab a connection every time I turn them on. It's just like that. I've never had an issue with it. I've never had the connection fail or break or anything of that sort. So nice, reliable Bluetooth. But if you don't want to use the Bluetooth mode, that's okay, because they come with a 3.5mm stereo audio cable and a jack, so you can plug them in as desired as well. And finally, I really am impressed with the battery life. I don't think I talked about this earlier, but they advertise a 30-hour battery life with ANC off, and I believe them. I've used these headphones at my PC as my daily drivers for weeks now, and I'll use them for days at a time without having to charge them. In fact, I've never had them run out on me of battery. I just remember every few days or whatever to plug them in overnight via micro USB, and they charge quickly and they'll last for another few days, no problem. So good to see. All right, you guys know the drill. Now it's time for the things that I was a little bit less crazy about, the cons. The first, and maybe the biggest one, is the unimpressive build quality. Overall, they haven't broken on me, so that's a good sign. They have received a couple of scratches, and the glossy bits certainly do pick up fingerprints, which is unfortunate. Overall, it's a very plasticky design. They feel pretty light. They have a lot of flex. Totally functional, not particularly impressive. I mentioned in the pros that they have a solid bass response, and they do, but that seems to come at the cost of fairly recessed mids and high frequencies. Now, this is partially a matter of taste. Like I said, some people prefer that kind of sound signature. I prefer something a little bit more balanced. It just felt like the mids, like the vocals were lacking a certain smoothness and forwardness, and the trebles just felt a bit insipid, I guess. Like with ANC off, they weren't harsh by any stretch. They were quite back in the mix, but they just didn't feel as smooth as they could. They just were kind of there, I guess. So recessed mids and highs with ANC turned off. That changes when you turn ANC on, and this is actually sort of another con, is that the trebles get way too pronounced when you have ANC on. They become very bright, and in my mind, too harsh for extended listening. At the same time, when you turn ANC on, there is a very noticeable hiss that comes with it. If you're in a noisy environment, that hiss is going to be less bad than the external sound, and therefore the ANC becomes worth it. But if you're in a fairly quiet listening environment, say like sitting at your computer, and you just want to cancel out your computer fans with the active noise cancellation, it'll do that, but the trade-off is a bit of treble hiss. So whether it's worth it or not to you at that point, it's hard to say. So it's too bad that hiss comes along with the ANC. And something else that I'd like to call out is, again, to do with sound quality. I did find that these headphones tend to get a bit overwhelmed by complex mixes with a lot of stuff going on at a lot of different frequencies all at the same time. So acoustic music with like a nice guitar or something like that tends to sound really nice, very rich. As soon as things get complicated, you start listening to progressive metal music or something like that, and you've got all these sounds hammering the headphones at the same time across the whole frequency spectrum. Things tend to get a bit muddy, a little bit quieter than you'd like. It's like the drivers are struggling to resolve all those sounds. This is something I've noticed about cheaper headphones in general. It's not terribly uncommon, even actually more expensive models. This is something I've noticed. And maybe it's just a failing of the dynamic driver design, which is the most common kind of headphones that you find. I'm not quite sure. Either way, these guys are susceptible to it. Not enough to ruin the listening experience, but I certainly do notice better definition of sounds in complex mixes when listening on for instance, my Logitech earbuds, the Ultimate Ears buds, which have like balanced armature drivers. So anyway, it's worth noting. And finally, I haven't actually mentioned this anywhere else in the review, but the microphone on these things, it's not great. It's fine. It totally gets the job done if you're taking a call on your phone, or if you're just doing some basic chatting with your friends on Discord or something like that. It's fine. but it's certainly nothing to write home about. I wouldn't expect it to be particularly amazing microphone, but nonetheless, there it is. It's not incredible. So, with all that said, all the pros and the cons racked up like that, and dozens and dozens of hours of time listening to these things, what's my final verdict on Mixder's E9 wireless noise canceling headphones? Well, I like them. They're good, actually. I'm impressed by them, to be honest. I had expectations, and I would say they exceeded them in most categories, especially considering the price point at the $70 price point. You could do a lot worse. They have a lot of the features of more expensive headphones from name brands, but you're saving probably $30, $40, $50 over something from, say, Sony, maybe even more. Some of those models can get quite expensive. So for, budget-oriented Bluetooth active noise canceling headphones, I think the Mixter E9 are a great choice. They have, in fact, become my headphone of choice for sitting at my computer playing games or whatever. I like to have wireless headphones when I'm at my PC, just for the freedom of movement and the comfort, the overall decent sound quality, and the really solid Bluetooth performance of these guys has won me over. And that is me transitioning from an older pair of Turtle Beach headphones that I had, which were also wireless, 2.4 gigahertz wireless, and much more expensive than these things, that I don't think sound as good. They're starting to get a little worn, a little long in the tooth anyway, so happy to switch over to these guys, honestly, and use them as my daily drivers. So, my verdict, good headphones, recommended. If you're looking for wireless, like Bluetooth, active noise canceling headphones, Mixter E9 are a very solid choice. And that, my friends, brings us to the close of another relaxing review. Special thanks, of course, to Mixder for sending over the review sample that we took a look at here today. It's much appreciated. And if you'd like to check these guys out, there are Amazon links down below in the video description for both Amazon Canada.com and for the UK, as well as a link to Mixder's website where you can take a look at these as well. I hope that you found this informative. I hope you found it relaxing. And I look very forward to having you back here next time for another episode of Relaxing Reviews. Bye for now, guys.